Hi everyone, tonight we're going to talk about comparative advantage, but we're going to start with a question that came up today in class. Ellie asked whether we could ever have a concave production possibilities curve. I went out and did some looking, and while theoretically it's possible, you can see it here. In fact, this website called Amos Web, which is an economics study and research site, they say to do so would contradict the assumption of technical efficiency and is contrary to real-world observations. Again, those observations that we talked about, if you have a bowed out or convex curve where actually the opportunity cost increases as you increase production, not the other way around. If you're interested in more, you can go to this website, amosweb.com, read a little bit more. Let's talk about comparative advantage. There are three important skills we need to master to understand and demonstrate how comparative advantage works. We need to learn how to calculate comparative advantage and then use it to decide which entity, if we have multiple entities, should specialize in which products. Second thing we need to do is be able to differentiate between comparative advantage and absolute advantage. Similar ideas, but very different implications between the two. Third, we need to determine what terms of trade are advantageous to both parties in a transaction, what's going to cause people to actually trade. We'll do that one in the next video, so we won't do this tonight, we'll do this on Sunday night. Okay, comparative advantage part one. First of all, why do we trade? Well, we trade because individuals, companies, states, countries are better at some things than others, and what we don't want to do is try to produce everything, do a mediocre job of it rather than specializing in doing things really, really well. The good news is that markets guarantee that we can specialize and then trade. So find people, either other people, other companies, other states, or other countries that are better at certain things than we are, and where we are better than they, and we can trade, and we all gain from it. Gain from it being defined as being better off than if we did not. But how do we decide what we should make versus what we trade for? Well, simply stated, we should produce those things for which we have a lower opportunity cost than those with whom we trade. We should trade for those things for which we have a higher opportunity cost than those with whom we trade. Remember, opportunity cost is what I give up to get something else. Let's take an example. Here we have two countries, Luxembourg and Thailand, and we're talking about production of chairs and HD TVs. This is an example of output, and this shows how many chairs either Luxembourg or Thailand can produce, or how many HD TVs Luxembourg or Thailand can produce in an hour. Now, remember from our last lesson that because we have a straight line here, we can talk about slope of a line equaling opportunity costs. Keep that in the back of your mind as we're figuring out the opportunity costs of each of these products in each of these countries. And slope of Luxembourg's production possibilities curve, therefore, is 24 divided by 12, which is 2. Thailand's production possibilities curve is 16 divided by 4, which is 4. Okay, so how do we derive the opportunity cost when we have this data? Remember, it's the quantity of foregone good over the quantity of the good produced. So let's take the example of Luxembourg and the opportunity cost of a chair. Well, quantity of the foregone good, in this case, the foregone good being the HD TV, is 12. Quantity of the good produced, chair, is 24. So 12 divided by 24 equals 1/2 an HD TV. So in Luxembourg, the opportunity cost of producing a chair is 1/2 of an HD TV. In Luxembourg, the opportunity cost of an HD TV, again, quantity of foregone good over quantity of good produced, is going to be the inverse of this number because we're talking about HD TV instead of the chair. So in this case, foregone good is the chair, quantity good produced, the product produced is the HD TV, 24 over 12 equals 2 chairs. We can start building a table now to see what the opportunity costs are for both countries for both products. Repeating from the prior slide, opportunity cost of a chair in Luxembourg, 1/2 a TV. Opportunity cost of an HD TV in Luxembourg, 2 chairs. Similarly, with regard to Thailand, 4 over 16, 1/4 of an HD TV. Opportunity cost of an HD TV, 16 over 4, equals 4 chairs. Pause here if you need to take a look and work through this math yourself. Okay, so we still need to get to comparative advantage. Remember, comparative advantage is when one producer's opportunity cost of producing an item is lower than the other producer's opportunity cost of producing the same item. So in this case, opportunity cost of a chair, Luxembourg 1/2, Thailand 1/4. Thailand wins with the lower opportunity cost. In HDTVs, Luxembourg 2 chairs, Thailand 4 chairs, Luxembourg wins. So who has comparative advantage in chairs? Thailand. Who has comparative advantages in HDTVs? Luxembourg, because they have lower opportunity cost. So who should produce what? Basic rule is that we should produce those things for which we have a lower opportunity cost than those with whom we trade. We should trade for those things for which we have a higher opportunity cost. So again, what should Luxembourg produce? Well, Luxembourg has a higher opportunity cost in chairs, lower opportunity cost in HDTVs. They ought to produce chairs. Thailand has a lower opportunity cost, again, lower opportunity cost than Luxembourg in TVs, and a higher opportunity cost in the production of HDTVs. Looks like Thailand ought to produce chairs. Let's move from comparative advantage to absolute advantage. Absolute advantage means an entity can produce more of a given product given the same amount of time and resources. So who has absolute advantage in chairs? Luxembourg can produce 24 in an hour. Thailand can produce 16 in an hour. Looks like Luxembourg has absolute advantage in chairs. In HDTVs, Luxembourg can produce 12. Thailand can produce 4. Looks like they have absolute advantage in TVs as well. So actually in both products. Now, does this mean that Luxembourg should produce chairs and HTVs? No way. Again, difference between absolute advantage and comparative advantage. This is how much they can produce of a given product. Absolute advantage is comparative advantage, who has the lower opportunity cost. Each country should produce the product for which they have lower opportunity cost, giving them comparative advantage, and not according to absolute advantage. Okay, that's it for tonight. Have a great evening, and we'll talk about all this tomorrow.